Hello and welcome. It is it's noon. It's the 18th day of November 2021, and I am your guide to all the tabletop role-playing game news, weather, sports, controversy, speculation, and general internet nonsense that is the OGGM. And today we are discussing the topic of games other than Dungeons & Dragons that you might want to try and get people interested in, and show that there are other ways to do the role-playing hobby besides just, hey, D&D. People are coming in and saying they want to play, and of course the first thing they think of is D&D. It's our job to educate them that there are other games that are out there that are great, especially for beginners. So we're going to go down a couple of games that I think are good for the older crowd. We already did the kids. That might be based. Now, the first one is one you've probably never heard of, and that is Lady Blackbird. Lady Blackbird is a very obscure role-playing game. It's free to download. It's only 16 pages long. It's set in a universe where space is breathable and skyships traverse the stars, similar to Disney's Treasure Planet. It's a swashbuckling story of magic and romance. You are the players or crew hired by the titular Lady Blackbird to smuggle her away from Imperial Planet and reunite her with her one true love, the Pirate King. So if you're a fan of Treasure Planet or Treasure Island or pirates or spaceships that are boats flying in space or Gilbert and Sullivan musicals, you love Sky Pirates, then check out Lady Blackbird. It's 100% free. It's a very easy game. It's 16 pages long, and it is a great game for beginners. It's a great game to play as a one-shot or as a campaign. It's got lots of really great ideas. Number two would be Goblin Quest. This is an entire role-playing game on one page. It's by the same man who created Honey Heist, and it's basically more of a take on the typical D&D adventure, but from the point of view of the goblins. Here's a game where you get to play a group of goblins who have been left alone in a cap and now must go out and achieve adventures and do stuff before they inevitably get themselves killed by bigger, tougher monsters. So again, if you're looking for a quick game, a one-shot game, a good intro game that has both feelings of board games and role-playing and has an idea that's great to just play out, and you can play it as a one-shot or a lot of fun. Goblin Quest is relatively easy. It's entirely one page, and it's free. So there we go. Now we have Fiasco. Fiasco is one you're going to hear a lot mention of, and there's a lot of games based upon the Fiasco idea. So if you're familiar with the work of the Coen brothers, if you're familiar with things like Pulp Fiction, if you're familiar with like Fargo and A Simple Plan or Boondock Saints, Fiasco is basically a game about people doing things in real life that never go well. All in all, you need to play is about 6-sided dice. It's a very easy system. You can do stories of like modern day crime genres, collaborative storytelling. Fiasco is all about things going wrong. You think a group of individuals who are forced together to do something that they might not want, like Boondock Saints or like Reservoir Dogs or like Fargo, and just everything goes wrong. And then, one or more of them have to try and get out of this situation of just cascading bad choices. It's all collaborative storytelling. It's all based upon D6s, and it's a very simple system. And for your Star Wars fan, we have the Edge of Empire Star Wars role-playing game, formerly from Fantasy Flight Games and now being produced by Edge Games. It's a dice pool system that uses weird custom dice that have like pictures of blasts and spaceships on them and try and emulate the much more feel. It's all about success, failure, advantage, disadvantage, triumph, and despair. the color of the dice determined what was happening. It's very much set in the Star Wars universe and embracing the Star Wars. It's very easy to learn. There are rules to use regular dice if you don't have or want to purchase the weird, unusual dice. There are multiple things online that have hacked the system and turned it into D20, 3D6. Basically, if you love Star Wars, this is the game to start with. Then we have Mouse Guard, based upon the award-winning graphic novels and designed by Luke Crane. Mouse Guard is a narrative RPG with a truly unique setting. You play mouse guards, think Redwall. You are sentient mice, think Secret of Nim. You are sworn to protect mice in times of need from the, things that might threaten mice. It's both cute and dangerous. You'll have to battle like armored weasels. You'll have to explore a fantasy world through the point of view of mice. So it's all the things you could do in D&D, but it's more kid-oriented. It's more simple. It's more charming because you're basically playing Secret of Nim. Then there's Dread. Dread is a horror game. It's basically, you play characters, you go through a horror scenario, but instead of using dice, you use a Jenga tower. Every time you make a decision, the tower gets slowly built. And then when crises happen, you start pulling cards, the little pegs, from the Jenga tower. And if you can make it through the whole game without the Jenga tower falling over, your character has survived. But if the Jenga tower falls over, bad things happen. This is an unbelievably unique system. Games have been out that use cards and dice and poker chips and other sorts of weird ways to resolve the situations. But I think this is the first that ever has said, let's play a role-playing game and use Jenga and make it a horror game. Because the thrill and the excitement and the trepidation of pulling those little pegs out and risking the Jenga tower falling over just sort of enhances that excitement and fear of a horror game. So there are some great games to start with that are not D&D for anybody who's looking to get into role-playing games and want a simple, easy, cheap games that emulate lots of different stories and emphasize more on storytelling than just chunky dice rolling, that explore all sorts of different genres like space and Star Wars and fantasy, and generally can be played either as sort of a family one-shot almost board game, or you can just start getting into the idea of running campaigns using systems that sort of better emulate the things that people are trying to get from D&D and finding they can't, like storytelling, much more character development, much more weird world building. So these are all great games, and they all have amazing reasons why you should play them if you're looking for an experience other than just Dungeons and Dragons. So support your friendly local game store, the Sis Games and Anime here in Ventura. Head on over and ask to get one or more of these games, ask for a demo, and try a game of Fiasco, or try a game of Lady Blackbird. After all, Lady Blackbird is free. Or try an Edge of Empires if you want to embrace your Star Wars geek on. Try Fiat. These are all great games. They're all relatively inexpensive. They're all fun. They're all good for people who are casual and don't really know anything about gaming, and they're a great way to introduce them, especially with recognizable IPs like Star Wars or the Coen Brother movies. Who doesn't love, floating boats in a breathable space a la Treasure Planet? And Lady Blackbird is free and has won multiple awards. So if any of these games sound like something you're interested in, let me know. Head on down to your friendly local game store, that's Sis Games and Anime here in Ventura, and ask to order them. And have a great holidays. And think about one of these as a gift for the role player in your life. Till next time, see ya.